All you'll be needing is a regular 3/8 drive, ratchet, a long extension, a magnet to go ahead and take out the spark plugs, a 10mm socket to take off the coils, and obviously a 13/16 to take off the actual spark plugs. And then your spark plugs. I use the NGK Iridiums.
Okay, so starting off, this is your basic, obvious, this is your engine bay. So there's supposed to be a cover here. There are supposed to be bolts right here. So there's going to be one bolt right here. There's going to be another on this corner, another on this corner, and another on this corner. They're just going to be 10mm bolts that you should be able to take it off. There's going to be a little plastic piece. Boom, pop it up. That's it, it's off. You will have this exposed just like my engine bay. So you will have your ignition coil, boot, ignition coil, another boot. As you can see, I'm missing a bolt. I think it's just one. Two, actually, just kidding. I'm gonna start off by basically just taking off the boots right here. I'm gonna unplug them from the ignition coil just to get started. The basic way that you just want to take these off is I would start off by unplugging the actual boot from the ignition coil rather than pulling this up first, because if you pull this up then you're really not going to have any space to pull this one out, at least on cylinder 3 and 2. Just pull this off first. It disconnects really easily, and you don't really want to hold this and yank on it because you might mess it up. So you want to get it from right here and then pull up, and it should just pop right out. Okay, so for the next step, I'm just going to go ahead and take off the actual bolts on the coil. You're just going to need your 3/8 regular ratchet drive and then the 10mm socket. So this is cylinder 2, just a 10mm bolt right here. You're just going to go ahead and loosen it up. Go ahead and do the other side. Okay, and then what I like to do is I like to go ahead and set my bolts up here, just so I don't lose them and I know where they're at. And one thing that I did forget to mention while I started this video is that usually when you do your spark plugs, you don't want to do it when the vehicle's hot. This is an aluminum head, so if it is hot, you can go ahead. It's easier to strip things when it's hot. So I would highly recommend, if you just drove the car, just don't go ahead and start doing it right away after you get home, because first of all, it is going to be very, very hot. But then you can risk damaging your head, and you don't want to do that because it is expensive. So just go ahead and let the car cool down, maybe like an hour or two, and then you should be good. Rather than just pulling it off, it's a little easier if you actually unplug it first. There's a little plastic clip right here that you just go ahead and press down to release and then push it out. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Okay, now you have them free. Just put them aside, and then like I said before, you don't want to go ahead and just yank it out. Just give it a little wiggle and it should pop right out. Now you have the coils out, you have the boots out, and now you have your spark plugs fully exposed. Okay, so for this next step, you're going to need your 3/8, you're going to need your extension, and you're going to need your 13/16 socket. It really depends on the spark plugs that you're using, but like I said before, my spark plugs are the regular NGK. This one takes the 13/16 on it. So you're going to go ahead and attach your extension, and then you're going to put your socket. I almost put it on the wrong way. I'm just going to go ahead and use this to put it in the cylinder head and take out my spark plugs. So I'm just going to go ahead and start off by loosening off cylinder 1. You don't have to start off in any particular order. It's just better if you start off on one end and then make your way to the other end. Ugh. Might take a little strength to do it, but that's how you know you tightened them in there. So I like to break them loose a little bit because you don't have to actually, like I said, loosen it with the ratchet the whole way. Once you break them loose, you can just hand loosen them the rest of the way with the actual extension. Jesus Christ. So for this next step, I'm going to go ahead and use my magnets. Usually they have spark plug sockets. Usually inside the socket there's like an actual rubber piece inside, so it grabs the socket when you loosen it in there, so then you don't have to, you know, struggle to get it out. But if you have a handy dandy magnet, then it will go ahead and do the job. So after you loosen it all the way, and then go ahead and stick this magnet in there, and then it will take you right out. What I'm going to do is I'm just literally going to extend my magnet and stick it in here, and it'll literally pick up the end of the spark plug like this. So now you have your spark plug out, and you can go ahead and take a look at them, see how bad they are, see all the carbon deposit buildup on there. This one is not even that bad, but I'm going to go ahead and pull out the rest and check them. Okay, so usually beforehand, what I like to do is go ahead and check the gap on them. I already did previously. I already checked the gap on these beforehand, but I don't want to get too much into depth and complicate everything. This one is specifically 0.28, 0.31, but these spark plugs actually come stock out of the box 0.28. So, like I said, these are the NGK Iridiums. These ones are, the part number I believe is 4055, specifically for this 05 Mitsubishi Evo 8. If you guys wanted to know, there it is. I don't like to just drop them in there because you can go ahead and bend this and you don't want to mess up the gap on there. So I like to get my magnet on there, stick it on there, and then just lightly drop it in there. Okay, so when you're actually putting the spark plugs back in, you want to do it hand tight first. You just don't want to go ahead and instantly start impacting it in there because if you do, you can mess up the threads and cross thread them, and then you'll have to get a new head or get a Healy coils or whatever. So to avoid all of that harm on your beautiful engine, just go ahead and stick it on there, and it should directly fall on the spark plug, and just go ahead and start twisting it a little until you feel like it's pretty hand tight, and then you can go over with your ratchet. And we're going to go ahead and do this to every cylinder. Them all hand tight right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab my handy dandy Husky 3/8 drive and go ahead and tighten it up. Make sure you have it on tight rather than loose. This, I believe, is supposed to be, it says 18 pounds on there, I believe. But I think my hand is pretty strong. Oh, fuck. Okay, so now that I actually have the spark plugs in, I'm basically just going to go ahead and go over everything. Basically put everything back the way I found it. Directly is how I took it off. I'm going to put it back on that way.
That's a problem.
No. So I actually ended up dropping one of the 10mm bolts in my engine bay. And of course, with my luck, it didn't fall to the ground. So I don't know where the fuck it is. But we ended up finding other bolts that are like pretty much specifically for it. I have all my bolts on my ignition coils. So you know what? I'm all set. Get your 10mm, put it on tight mode, and we're gonna
Tight mode. Sicko mode.
Tight mode these bitches down.
Ain't no hot dog down the hallway, baby.
You want to make sure that these are nice and tight in there, so just go ahead and press down pretty good. So you hear like an airlock tight on there. And then that's it. You're all set, tighten down, all there. You're ready to start her up.
guys for watching. If you guys have any more questions or concerns, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment below section. If you like this video and you guys want more how-tos, this is my first how-to, so if you guys have any tips of how I can do things better or explain things better, more into depth, if you guys want to see more how-tos in certain directions, go ahead and comment below. Like, subscribe, all the above. I will have more videos for you guys soon. Thank you for watching.